Back with us on the Sunrise Morning Show is Richard Ghazal. He is Executive Director of In Defense of Christians. Good morning, Rich.
Good morning, Annie.
It's good to have you back, and excited to hear that IDC has a speaker series coming up. So first off, just give us the details of when and how this is all happening.
Absolutely, Annie. Well, our first ever of its kind speaker series, a board speaker series, will take place every Wednesday through the month of December at noon Eastern Time every Wednesday. In fact, that starts tomorrow, which is December 1st, of course. This series will feature IDC board members, some of whom are the world's foremost experts on international religious freedom and Christian persecution. They'll provide a focused and candid reflection on various topics related to the issue of Christian persecution internationally. And really, Annie, this series has two goals. First off, it's to help educate the public on the many topics related to international religious freedom and Christian persecution. And secondly, to give our friends and supporters the opportunity to hear directly from our board members and team of experts. Because I'll tell you, Annie, we've got pretty incredible experts and a team behind us that we really want to get their voices out there on this incredibly important topic.
Yeah, I was going to say, I hope you can send some of them my way to promote their talks when they are giving them, because this is an impressive lineup that you have. Take us through the speakers that you'll be featuring over these weeks.
Sure thing. Well, first off, we have Pastor Andrew Brunson. Pastor Brunson is a Christian pastor, of course, who was held as a prisoner of conscience in Turkish prison for nearly 3 years due to his Christian faith. He was a Christian minister and missionary in Turkey, and in 2016 he was taken into custody and charged with all sorts of bogus charges simply because he was preaching the gospel in Turkey. We also have Dr. Aykan Erdemir, who is a senior director of the Turkey program at the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies, which is a think tank here in Washington, D.C. He'll also be talking about the state of Christianity and religious freedom in general in Turkey. We also have Nadine Manza, who is the current chairperson at the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom. She'll be discussing the state of Christianity in northeast Syria. We also have Dr. Habib Malik, who is a senior research fellow at the Philos Project, who also happens to be the son of Dr. Charles Malik, who, among other things, was the original drafter of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
Wow.
Dr. Malik will be speaking about the current status and the current issues affecting Christians in Lebanon. And to start things off tomorrow, the 1st of December, we have Dr. Michael Rubin, who is a senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, which is another think tank here in D.C. He'll provide some key takeaways concerning the geostrategic trends facing Christians and Christianity in the Middle East. And, Annie, that's just to name a few. We have a lot more in store.
Well, that's just incredible lineup, as I said here. And why did you choose these topics in particular, Rich?
Well, right now, Christianity in the Middle East and really throughout the world is at a zenith of persecution, let's say. And these particular areas, Turkey, Syria, and other such places, are really hot spots for persecution, both actual physical violence and acts of violence. In other cases, they're political and legal persecution, weaponization of the legal system, which is in the case in Turkey. In Lebanon, of course, as you know, we've discussed with you many times, it may not be violent persecution per se in the traditional sense, but there's a real threat of the Lebanese government or the Lebanese society crumbling, which would create just a disaster for Christians, not just in Lebanon, but really throughout the region. So really, these are really important points for us to focus on, in the coming year.
And these people that will be giving these talks, you mentioned they're board members, so I'm sure you've heard just specific stories from them. These are people that have really been on the ground, like have truly experienced these issues.
That's absolutely correct. And just to give you a small example of that, Dr. Aykan Erdemir, who I mentioned is currently the senior fellow at the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies, focusing on Turkey. He's a former member of Turkish Parliament who was very much a part of the system. In fact, he was a voice of reform, and he was a positive voice in the system. But this is his new life. He's come here. He's decided to contribute his efforts toward making the world aware of what's going on in Turkey, political violence, actual Christian persecution, and the like. So, I mean, these are folks, as you said, who are very much experienced on the ground, not just academics, but, they have practical experience.
Can you tell us more about Pastor Andrew Brunson? Because, of course, we're on Catholic radio here, so his name may not be as familiar to our listeners.
Absolutely. Pastor Brunson is a Christian pastor, has been for many decades. A couple decades ago, he felt a calling in his ministry to bring him to Turkey. He spent a couple decades in Turkey ministering to Christians in Turkey, as well as making new Christians in Turkey, growing the Christian church in Turkish society. A number of years ago, about 4 or 5 years ago, the Turkish government basically became suspicious of him because, hey, what's this guy doing converting people to Christianity? They eventually charged him with associating with terrorists and even being a terrorist himself, with it, which nothing could be further from the truth. They threw him in jail on those charges. After about 3 years of confinement in Turkish prison, and for those of your listeners who are familiar what Turkish prison is, at least by reading about it or hearing about it, it's not a pretty sight. And so he lived that life for 3 years and kept the faith, kept his faith in Christ, that his calling, his mission was greater than his physical trials, and that's just what he did. And after about 3 years, through work of IDC, many other organizations and civil society, and through the Trump administration, he was given freedom once again and repatriated back to the United States.
Yeah, he's got an incredible story. We've been talking to Richard Ghazal, the executive director, the executive director of In Defense of Christians. And of course, today, Giving Tuesday, and I'm sure In Defense of Christians would love to get your support. And Rich, if listeners would like to contribute to your work, how can they do so?
Yes, Giving Tuesday, if they'd like to contribute, they can visit us online, either through social media or our website, indefenseofchristians.org, where they can make a tax-deductible donation. And one final note, Annie, for your listeners, if they want to tune in to the speaker series every Wednesday in December, they can follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, follow us on YouTube, and tune in every Wednesday at noon.
Wednesdays at noon. Definitely. Indefenseofchristians.org is linked at sunrisemorningshow.com. Rich, thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Annie.